So we see the seventh lord of relationship is in the 12th house. At the same time, the karaka for relationship or marriage is also in the 8th house. In that case, we say that, hey, something related to your past karma is so bad that God has decided that, hey, it's better you don't get married. Otherwise, that karmic bondage or that karmic thing is so high that you might end up actually damaging yourself and the other partner both. Hello and namaste, and thank you so much for visiting my channel. My name is Karthik Gaur, and please do subscribe and click the bell icon to ensure that whenever we upload a webinar or a video, you are the first ones to know. Thank you so much. So namaste and welcome everybody, and we are going to go to the next level of the Karakas today, and this is almost our third detailed class in terms of Karakas. The very reason we are going into the depth of the Karakas, and then we have few more sessions left, is the importance of how to use basics very effectively, right? I'm somebody who is of a believer that you need to have your basics right, you need to do the basics right, and once you are sort of able to do the basics right, then obviously, reaching the conclusion, reaching the problem, or reaching the solution becomes very easy. Imagine a guy, who is into, who is a spy. you know Imagine a spy, and what do spies always look for when there is a murder? What is the motivation for the murder? What is the motive? Once they know what could be the motive, is the person rich, is the person poor, is the person having a property dispute, is the person having a relationship dispute, is the person having enemies? If yes, which ones, one, two, three. And in a way, that gives them a real understanding of, hey, who could have killed this person? Just purely based on one thing, what could be the motive, or what was that one thing which was so controversial about that person, or something that was so envious about that person. Similarly, the karakas sort of give you an understanding in terms of, hey, what's going wrong? Is something going wrong at a physical level, or is it going extremely wrong at a soul level? Soul level is more of your charakarakas. So a lot of time, when people feel that their relationship quadrant is not working, or your work or your office environment is not working for you ever, then you definitely need to know what's happening to you at a soul level. There are many a times, that there are people who keep rejecting work, or even if when they start working, they work for 1 month, and then again, they start taking leaves, they don't go on time, fight with their colleagues, fight with their boss, they just don't have the right sort of an aptitude, whatever you call it, and they are sacked. And then they complain constantly that, hey, I don't get work, and I'm a little unlucky, or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is that there is a problem, whereby you need to understand what's going wrong. Is it the 10th house? Is it your charakaraka, which is your amatya karaka? What is technically going wrong? Are you going through the curse of Mercury, whereby you are not able to make money at all? Are you having any particular Daridra yoga? So those things are very important for us to understand, and hence I feel that Karaka is such a beautiful topic, which is going to give us an understanding in terms of how to proceed. Okay, we are going to understand the Karakas. Obviously, we are going to today focus a lot in terms of the Charakarakas. Okay, a lot of secrets related to Charakarakas. I'm going to give you few rules, which are from the Jaimini Sutras and Parashara, which will help you a lot in terms of understanding your chart and people around you very, very easily. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the challenges you have? What are the people with whom you have to put in a lot of effort? What are the people who come to you very easily, right? Everybody has got that positive vibe and a negative vibe with people around you. With some people, it is almost like fish in water. We get along so well that it is as good as we have known each other for so many years. Whereas some people whom you know for so many years, just you can't match up to their expectations, or can't get the vibe sort of at the same wavelength. So what's happening? Is it Ticharakaras playing over there? Is it a karmic level thing? Is it a past life curse which is going on, or a past life blessing? Right? So that would be very interesting. We are going to sort of understand few example charts. This is something we did last time, but I want you all to sort of keep this as a photo memory in your head. It is very important for you all to know the bhavakarakas, and more importantly the logic part of it. Okay. Because the logic is going to ensure that you aren't going to forget it. It's not just mugging up. You can't keep on reading or mugging it up that Sun is the Karaka for Lagna, Jupiter is Karaka for the second house, and Mars is the Karaka for the third house. Mars is the Karaka for the third house. Moon is the Karaka for the fourth house. Moon is the Karaka for the fourth house. And this is the problem of our education system. With a hand in your heart, just think that most of the time we were mugging up our things in our history, geography, and those lessons during our school days. Especially for history. I remember that, we used to have something called as, match the column or something like that. So there will be written, Shivaji and Aurangzeb fought, and then there will be these 5 options, and there will be 5 things. So ultimately every event matches to the other event, and we used to mug up so many things. But our teacher never taught us the logical way of remembering things. Had they taught us, the fact of the matter is that we would have been able to understand and love the topic, love our journey of learning. And that is exactly what our ancient rishis did in the Gurukula. They didn't just teach us that, hey, come on, stand here, hit there, or there is this eye that you can see of the fish. Arjun, come on, hit the eye of the fish. No, they taught us initially the power of concentration. They taught us the power of meditation. So once you meditate, once you understand the power of concentration, then they tell you that, hey, this is your object. Now apply the knowledge of what you know about the power of concentration, power of visualization, power of keeping the thing focused, and then you look at the eye of the fish, and then you hit the bow, and then it hits bullseye. So at that point of time, Arjuna was not mugging up that, hey, I need to hit the bullseye, hey, I need to hit the eye of the fish, eye of the fish, eye of the fish. No. Because the basics were so right, because the rishis have taught what is required to achieve that particular qualification. There's a very common saying that, hey, what is one nice thing I had heard, that what is good luck? Good luck is when talent or your preparation meets your opportunity. So you develop yourself for that talent, and when the opportunity comes, you're ready for it. You're not going to fish around that, hey, I've got an opportunity of being an accountant. I know a little bit of accounts, but this is a position of a CFO, and I don't know, I don't have 1, 2, 3 qualification. What do I do? A smart person is going to get those qualification 1, 2, 3, ensure that it is going to hunt for the job, and when the right job comes, he's ready because he has done all the 1, 2, 3 steps required to match up to being a CFO. So it's a very, very interesting understanding. So I want you all to sort of understand that, hey, why are these secondary karakas also so important? Why is Mercury so important for second house? Why do they say that, if you can speak well, then, you can sell well? Why? Because the second house is the house of speech, and Mercury over there is going to ensure you to help making money. If you can't say hi, hello, you don't have the basic networking skills, it is very tough for you to develop relationships. If you can't develop relationships, you can't make a family. Now, family can be at a various level. One is your core family, or your wife, your kids, or whatever it is. The other is your professional family too. Where you don't just deal with your clients as clients. So the whole relationship is not transactional. That is where the Chandra comes. So when you do a consultation, or when I do a consultation, there is a certain level of affection which is there between me and the person whom I'm speaking to. And that's where the Chandra comes in, where people would like that, hey, your voice is very soothing, or you speak very well, or speaking to you makes us very happy or makes us very calm. So you see, all these are ultimately connected to Jupiter, which is your knowledge base, your ethics, right? So ultimately you can keep speaking, you can be a good speaker, but if you don't have the knowledge base and you are not speaking or staying to the topic, then people after 5 minutes are like, listen, you speak well, but you don't stick to the topic, right? So very, very important. Likewise, I want you all to start writing, right? Write down, all this, why are these karakas? What is your thought process? Based on that, you can write, at least 1 or 2 pages for each house. Why is the Surya Karaka for Lagna? Why? Is it just your Dhi? It is just your intelligence? Or is it something beyond that? Start probing yourself. Start pushing yourself, right? Like a trainer would do. Gym trainer, when you do 10 push-ups a day, the next day will say, okay, you did 10 last day, try for 12 today. Come on, you can do it. And as long as you reach 9, he is going to mentally change your mind. He is going to say, okay, 3 more, 3 more. So in your mind, even if you are saying that I need to reach 10, the trainer has sort of done a mental sort of a magic on you. And your mind suddenly says that, hey, it's not 1 left, it is 3 left. And you end up doing 12. The next day you end up doing 15. And after some time, in a month's time or 2 months' time, you end up doing 50 and 100. So how does that play to your mind? Likewise, I want to start thinking in terms of the normal day-to-day activities or things that you see around your place. That's how you're going to learn. The 10th house becomes so important. I've added this Saturn, Jupiter, and Surya, which is so important. It is okay to have education. It's okay to be learned. Hey, I'm MBA from so-and-so university in US. I'm an MBA from Cambridge, or whatever those hi-fi colleges that you have. But at the end of the day, you still need to work hard. You still need to ensure that you are constantly upgrading your knowledge, especially in today's time, where in any field there is a new technology after 3 months. Especially I really feel for IT guys. Or when I was a project manager, I had to constantly keep learning or keep pushing myself to learn new technologies, because HP used to come with new technologies, new integrations, new software solutions for call logging or whatever it is. And I had to keep brushing it to ensure that I'm respected in my fraternity as somebody who at least knows what he's talking about. So that learning, unlearning is a process which will go till the end of our journey. And that learning and unlearning is something which is going to increase our knowledge base. People are going to respect us. People are going to consider us subject matter expert. Hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah. And then finally we become that Surya. We become the king in our profession. We get the work that we want. We get the job that we want. We get the respect and we get the support of our superiors or the king. Right? So likewise, I want you all to start thinking in those matters. Okay. Now these are few rules which I really want you all to. Now these are few rules which I really want you all to sort of try and understand it rather than mugging it up. Okay. The first one is, if the Lord of the house is ill-placed from Lagna, then there is a personal suffering. Okay. For example, let's say 5th Lord is in the 8th house. Okay. So from the 5th house, it is in Kendra, right? It is the 4th house from there. 5, 6, 7, 8. But when we look from Lagna, it is the 8th house of debt. So what it means, when 5th Lord is in the 8th house, then when your first child is born or when a child is born, you actually are going through a lot of turmoil in your life, or a lot of changes are happening in your life. Those of you who have fifth lord in the eighth house, please check your life around the period when your child is born. You will find that that is the time when there is a lot happening in your life, and generally it's not a very, very feasible time, so to say. It's too many things happening. Maybe you lost your job, maybe there's too much of loans or something happened. Eighth house, right? It's like a transformation. Why? Because the karaka or the fifth lord has gone into the eighth house, or sometimes let's say Mercury in the eighth house or Surya in the eighth house, and your relationship with your father, or relationship in terms of the finances. So whenever those dashas pick, those are the times you really go through, very, very bad times. And then you look at the lordships. As I told you, the fifth lord in the eighth house, because it is fifth lord. For example, for Mesha Lagna, if Surya is in the eighth house, then Surya is the fifth lord. So though Surya is in the eighth house, yes, there can be a relationship issue, maybe with father, but more so because it is your fifth lord, the changes related to your profession or related to your kids is going to be major when a kid is born, because it is the fifth lord in the eighth house. Similarly, let's say if Lagna lord is in the eighth house, then you are the one who is going to go through the transformation, and that is mostly at a constant place. So sometimes it is said that, hey, because the eighth house is transformation, a person can really transform itself. Now, depending on the Lagna lord and depending on various other factors, the transformation can be good, where a person actually becomes a very nice soul. Sometimes it could be reverse. A person was a very, very nice soul, and something happened as a result of which the person has completely sort of changed the mindset, and now is full of hatred, right? So those are the minor things. But what I mean to say, always look for the lord of the house, okay? Because lord is the house impact where the event is happening, or that particular event is bad. For example, when you have seventh lord in the 12th house, okay, so what happens is from Lagna, it is the 12th house. Now, because it is the seventh lord, then the person is either rejecting relationship, or the relationship is always at a loss. Seventh house is also finance. So when seventh lord goes into the 12th house, we say that either the person is rejecting wealth, person is losing a lot of wealth, or person needs to travel to a foreign land to make up wealth, because the 12th is the house of travel, right? So similarly, you are supposed to sort of look at the basics part of it and help people around and help yourself in taking simple decisions in life. If you take decisions in a very, very simple turn, things will work out to be very simple for you. If you complicate things will get complicated. Okay, what is the second rule? If the karaka is also ill placed, then the suffering is due to one's karma. Okay, for example, let's say seventh lord is in the 12th house. Okay, seventh lord could be anything. Okay, simultaneously, let's say Venus is also in the 8th house. So we see the seventh lord of relationship is in the 12th house. At the same time, the karaka for relationship or marriage is also in the 8th house. So it's like a double whammy. In that case, we say that, hey, something related to your past karma is so bad that God has decided that, hey, it's better you don't get married. Otherwise, that karmic bondage or that karmic thing is so high that you might end up actually damaging yourself and the other partner both. So in those cases, you always advise that, hey, you need to think twice whether you really want to get married or you want a spiritual marriage, right? A lot of people in ISKCON, a lot of people around the world, do a lot of spiritual marriage, where they say that, hey, the marriage is more for, where we are going to be the two wheels of the cart, and then we are going to go ahead together spiritually. But still, you need to really think, when both the Karakas and the Lords both are also misplaced, then definitely, in a way you can say that that particular aspect of your life is very, very hard to achieve. So sometimes in life you have to understand and be very realistic whether you want to run for a thing for years and years, or you want to accept the fact of the matter that, hey, probably this is an area where I need to put a cross, but there's so many other benefits and so many advantages that I have in my horoscope. Let me fulfill those sort of things, right? So that is, sometimes some people can take that call. Sometimes few people can actually run all their life, keep cribbing, keep crying about it, and finally lead to nowhere. Yeah. The third one is, if the Karaka is afflicted by two or more malefic, Karaka Bhava Nasha happens. House signified the Karaka is destroyed. Worship of Mahavidya is recommended. Now, what are we saying here? That, for example, Venus, since we are in the process of relationship, if Venus, let's say, is with Saturn and Mars, okay, then the seventh house is completely destroyed. Okay, why? Because the Karaka of Venus is the Karaka for the seventh house, right? So that's why I was telling you that you need to remember this. Here you see Venus is in the seventh house, the Karaka. So let's say Venus in the horoscope, irrespective of wherever it is placed, if it is with two malefics, then it is like quite a Herculean task. If it is with three malefics, it is, let's say, two malefics, and then there is a aspect of Mars also, and then there is a aspect of Ketu also, and all those things happening, then frankly speaking, please don't get married, because it's a trap. Marriage is a trap. The moment you get married is when your bad luck starts, or your challenges start. You have to be very, very smart. Pick out, a graha which is aspected by two or more malefics. If there is no Jupiter with it, or there is no benefic aspect to that combination, then frankly speaking, it's better to let go of that activity, because ultimately you will cry. And frankly speaking, the karma is so heinous that it is very tough to remedy it in this life. Definitely we should do remedies, just to moderate the karma, and it's almost like a pashyatap. You are sort of repenting that karma. So you need to do the remedy part to sort of ensure that, if we were to be reborn, then at least that particular combination is going to leave our horoscope, right? That is where the remedial measures also come in. It's not just for this life, because a lot of good things which we are enjoying in this life is thanks to our past life. Probably we did some good karmas. So by that logic, we should not stop doing good karmas, being good to others, because that is what is going to ensure our combinations for our next birth in case we don't get moksha, right? So think logically. We in a way have a great opportunity, because now that we learn Jyotish, we have a great opportunity to understand that, hey, I have an opportunity to build up a beautiful horoscope for my next life. The objective obviously is moksha, but in case we don't reach there, then at least we reach there where we are having a life which is worthwhile life. You look at so many people, and sometimes you feel that, hey, this guy is having completely worthless life, so much of money, everything is fine, all they are doing is partying and putting their pictures on Facebook, that, hey, today I was partying here, yesterday I was partying there, tomorrow I'll party here, the other day I was partying at 3 places. Good for you, but what are you doing about something about your next life? This is all the overdraft, or what I say as traveler's check, right? So if you're going to keep spending your traveler's check, which is good, you have come with a fat check, good karmas, but are you doing something whereby you are creating that fixed deposit or a traveler's check when you go back? So these are the things which are so important, and this is what Jyotish does. It checkmates us, right? In various phases of life. And many times, a guy like me who is such a positive thinker, he is going to think very positive about the whole situation. That, hey, this beautiful knowledge is giving me an opportunity to actually take my life to the next level. You know, it's almost like goal setting, that, you know, if it's a very small goal, or they say that if your goal doesn't give you sleepless night, then it's a very short goal or a small goal. Similarly, for all of us, the ultimate goal has to be moksha. We are all trying for that. We are all trying to reach there. But in trying to reach there, even if we slip from a very high pedigree. So our next life is, you know, more fulfilling. You know, we are there to teach others. We are there to do some good mission. We are there to actually, you know, we are born whereby, you know, God wants us to do some unfulfilled karmas, you know, which are pending, which are much more worthwhile. Right? So very, very important. This Karaka Bhavanasha is very important. Especially, you know, we all have one area of life where we are never settled. Right? So find out, you know, the Karaka for that particular thing, and find out the aspects which are coming. Those aspects are the karmas which we have done in the past life, as a result of which we are going through this life. For example, if Mars is with Venus, and then there is Saturn, Rahu, and 2-3 malefics involved, that we were violent, we gave a lot of stress, we gave a lot of negativity, scheming, mind games with our partner. So what happens in this life, you know, probably we have to go through that part of it in our current relationship life. But if you understand that, hey, I've probably done that, then you're sort of ready to handle that karma differently, rather than saying that, hey, I'm in the game and, you know, let's play it. You know, no, you don't need to, you know, just leave the field. Simple. Okay. So in the comment section, actually, I want you all, you know, once you look at the video, I want you all to put in the comment section which is one positive planet which is with 2 or 3 malefics, or aspected by 2 or 3 malefics. And then, you know, just write down 1 or 2 problems related to that. And it would be very interesting about learning from each other and how simple rules of Karaka work. Okay. The fourth rule is, if the Lord, you know, of the house is placed 212 from the Karaka, then the signification is lost early. Okay. For example, let's say 7th Lord, you know, let's say you are a Gemini Lagna. Okay. Gemini Lagna, the 7th Lord would be Jupiter. And let's say Jupiter is 12th from Venus. Okay. Then there is a problem where you might lose your husband or wife a little bit early. Okay. Or let's say your 9th Lord being 12th or 2nd from Surya. You know, that is very important. Then the father, or your boss, or somebody whom you consider as your father, is somebody that leaves you very early. Now sometimes it could be a separation also. Yeah. So those things are very, very important. Sometimes it might not be physical death, but it might be a long separation. Sometimes I've known of cases where people don't know where their father is, or they don't know if they are alive, dead, you know. So it's almost like lost early, right? Because at a practical level, that person doesn't have the father. Okay. Now the fifth part is, if the Lord of the house is placed 6th and 8th from the Karaka, then there is great suffering for people indicated by those houses. Very, very interesting. See, the first 212 combination is telling you of, because it is the house of loss, right? 12th house is the house of loss. Second house is all about, so 212 is more of a bandhana coming out of a loss or somebody going away early, you know. Whereas 6th and 8th is more of that nija dosha, more of that suffering and enmity coming because of reasons, you know, whether it was because of them or because of you. Okay. Now, what does it simply mean? If the lord of the house, let's say if the seventh lord is in the eighth house, okay, or let's say for Gemini Lagna, okay, seventh lord is Jupiter, and let's say Jupiter is sixth or eighth from Venus, then there is a great suffering coming from your spouse, which means that you can fall into the trap where you might meet a gold digger, or you know suddenly your wife becomes your enemy, or suddenly, I've got cases when couple were very very happy and were in a living relationship uh, for 8 years, and then they decide to marry, and within 6 months they are filed for divorce, and they are almost treating each other as enemy. And that's very strange that, hey, you have been together for 8 years. What happened to you? That's where you understand that, the moment that seventh house is activated is the time when probably the 6-8 combination got activated. Till the time they were in a living relationship, which is a little different from Upapada or marriage, uh, you were okay, you were good friends, your connect was very good, you were able to understand each other, you were able to stay very happy with each other. Suddenly when you marry, a huge sort of problem sort of seeps in. So very important to understand this 212 and 68. Always look for this combination, especially in relationship horoscope matching, when you are looking at two people getting married, or for that matter two business people, because two businessmen or people starting a business is also almost like a relationship. Okay. If the lord is in place, then the house may suffer, yet the person may not be affected. Let's say this lagna lord is in the 8th house, or let's say second lord is in the 12th house. Okay. Then definitely, maybe the person might have little problem in terms of, or their family might have a problem with him, but he personally is fine. Okay. It's all about understanding. In every relation there is one partner which is, or one section of people who are getting more affected than the other, right? For example, if you look at an Amitabh Bachchan or a Salman Khan, or a lot of big people, or a Narendra Modi for that matter, people are going to talk ill about them, people are going to throw stones about them, people are going to troll them on Twitter, but the fact of the matter is, does it matter to them? No. But what did matter to them? That, hey, if I lose an election, or my films don't work, or my girlfriend, just leaves me and doesn't want to talk to me. In that case, Salman Khan sort of went through a very, very low phase, after the breakup with Aishwarya, where he completely went into the dumps, and sort of he needed a lot of treatment to get out of that lull in his life. It took a little time. So there are two sections, right? So every time, let's say when the seventh lord is going to the 12th house, necessarily the person is rejecting the relationship, but the person is not understanding it. In his relationship, in his perspective, the person is going to feel that, hey, for some reason the girls never stay with me, or for some reason, my relationships just don't last. But when you talk to their girlfriend or boyfriend, they would say that, hey, this guy is least interested. Whenever I call him that let's go out for dinner, he is not available. Let's go out for lunch, not interested. During the weekends, he is busy with the work. How does the relationship work? I felt very rejected. I felt very dejected. And that's what brought about the end of relationship. But did it affect that person a lot? The answer is no. The effect happens, when those 212, 6-8, suddenly that sort of combinations hit. Okay. I want you all to sort of take this slide and write down each one of them and understand of each point very calmly. Listen to it at least twice, please. Don't just start asking questions without listening everything at least twice, and listen to understand, not to just ask questions, right? Once you understand it calmly, once you draw a horoscope and then understand, okay, this means this means this, okay, now I get it. It is very easy to understand. But if you don't apply your mind and just ask questions, then even if there are answers given 50 times, you will not able to understand because you haven't applied your mind. Okay, so do that. Always understand that the Jupiter is the key. Jupiter is generally called as Jiva, which means your life. So whenever you look at this sort of combinations and all, you have to understand that Jupiter is the king because he's the Karaka for 4 houses. He's the Karaka, and he has that power of Mahadev. He has the Trishul of Mahadev. He has the purity of Vishnu, whereby he can turn the tables for you. So if Jupiter is aspecting the problem, then it is good. That means he is the solution. Okay. Now, this slide was made before, not after the whatever Trump has been up to last few days. But look at this, understand of his marriage part of it. For marriage, we know that the seventh house, Venus and Tula, as well as your Darakaraka are very important. Okay, what is the Darakaraka in his chart? It is Saturn. Okay, Saturn is his Darakaraka, which is also in the 12th house. Okay, so let us understand what is his 7th house. 7th house is the Lord is Saturn, right? See, because even though it is Aquarius, we have to understand that the one whom you marry will have a body, right? Unless somebody wants to marry a ghost. Sometimes people marry a ghost, and it is important in matters where you look at evil eye and ghost and all those things. The nodes become very important because those were the invisible bodies or half bodies, so to say. Okay, so here we see the same thing. 7th Lord is in the 12th house, so this person might have a little bit of a, what do you say, not so serious sort of a concept about relationship, or rejecting a relationship, or the 12th house of bedroom, so for him the relationship might be bedroom. So everyone knows a little bit about Trump, and enough has been spoken about his relationship with various porn stars, and during his days, what all he used to do with almost every woman. He used to impose himself, and which is a very very subtle way of saying rape, right? So anyways, what do we see here? We see Venus is with Saturn. Okay, any other malefic aspects which are there? Here we see Rahu and Saturn, Surya are having a Rashi Drishti on this house. When we learn Graha Drishtis and Rashi Drishtis, you will able to understand. But basically, you can understand that this is a fixed sign, this is a movable sign. So planets in the fixed sign are going to give a Rashi Drishti on Venus. So there is already a Saturn, there is already a Rashi Drishti of Rahu, Rashi Drishti of Ketu, and Rashi Drishti of Surya, which are all malefic planets. Okay, there is one benefic planets of Jupiter also. Or is it there? No, it is not there. Do we have any other benefic drishtis other than moon? None. Okay, so here we see the 7th Lord, Saturn with Venus, and then the 7th Lord is also your Darakaraka. He is in the 12th house. So one thing is, hey, we can tell that, hey, Trump, as long as you keep marrying or you get into relationship with women which are from your own country, you are going to have a little bit of problem. There is not going to be a stability in your life, so to say. So finally, his wife is not from America, and it was a I can't say more things on these things, but it is a relationship where you have to understand this is the third lord of sexuality is also in the 12th house. Means this person can have high amount of sexuality, high level of urge, high level of uh, having multiple partners, so to say. Okay, so the lord is going into the 12th house, which is Tula. Shukra is in the 12th house. You see the 7th lord is in the 12th house. You see Darakaraka Saturn is in the 12th house. So somewhere down the line we can say that, hey, this person has a little bit of problem of relationship and little bit of problem with war, because 7th lord is also the 7th house, is the house of your love and war. You remember the horoscope houses? Please go to my YouTube channel, and I'm sure there are various videos where we have uploaded, and then there you will see that the 7th house is the house of love and war. So in both cases, we can say that, hey, this guy has a little problem of love and war, or in matters of business or relationship. So many, though he is quite a multi-million dollar person, there are a lot of people who have not been paid. There are a lot of people who have said that, hey, they've used unethical methods to sort of not pay them, by using bankruptcy rules and then various rules. Okay, now for marriage, I've always told you that this 4th house is also very important, because the 4th house is something which is very, very important. That is what you are seeking in a male chart. 4th house is what you are seeking. And here you have a Bandhana Yoga, two planets. That means there's something in the house, something outside as well. There's an equal opportunity for him, so to say. But what is he? This Moon and Ketu together with his Aruda Lagna is, see, Ketu with Moon is actually, quite an eclipse sort of a yoga, and it is with Chandra, means that the person has a little bit of eclipse in his mind. He can actually do crazy things that a president wouldn't do. And the events of last few weeks or last week is quite sort of evident of that, right? And that is impacting his image, which is Aruda Lagna. So no doubt about whatever good he has done, and probably American economy before COVID was doing pretty well, but people will always understand him or always remember him for the instability in the home affairs, because this is 4th house, what he brought in last week, because that is sticking with Aruda Lagna. It is almost like Bill Clinton. You think about Bill Clinton, people think about Monica Lewinsky or his affair in the home environment or in his office, which is so unfair, because I'm sure that there was more to Bill Clinton than just that. But in this case, again, you see Aruda is part of this 4th house. 4th house for a president is also home affairs. He will create havoc where it comes to home affairs or homeland security or whatever it is, right? The same thing, let's say in Navamsha, the same yoga of Ketu and Chandra. See, Chandra, when it is in the 7th house of Navamsha, I'm giving you a great secret. It is Gemini's best kept secret. When Moon is in the 7th house of Navamsha, person is hypersexual. And the problem with Moon is, it doesn't have a great character. In Hindi there is a song which says that Jo bhi pyar se mila hum usi ke ho liye, which means that whoever meets me, he or she is mine. And you can say that, with Moon in the 7th house and with Ketu, see, Ketu takes that octave very high. So whenever Moon is with Ketu, and that too in the house of Jupiter, that means this person can actually eye, other people's wife also, other people's relationship and all those things. Basically, if everything is fair for him. Here again we have this 7th lord in Navamsha Jupiter in the 12th house. Okay, And we still have this Shukra with Shani. The same combination of Rashi is Vargottama in the 11th house of Danda. Okay, so from this we can definitely say that hey, this person definitely has got some issue when it comes to relationship per se. The person tends to reject it, the person tends to control it, and Saturn is with Shukra a little bit of perverted mind. Why? Because Saturn is that old person, Venus is that hot chick, so to say, and Saturn is that typical guy, who can't do anything, that uncle at the age of 70, who is still fantasizing a lot of things in his mind. So whenever, even if he sees a girl, who is of his daughter's age, he's still going to lust for her, which is so unethical, so perverted. But unfortunately, America had chosen the president. This Jupiter brought him to power. Anyways, what I mean to say, let's stick to the topic. And we saw that this guy has this little issue when it comes to sexuality, or in those times whatever happened with the locker room talks, and women after women complaining about what he had done to them, and imposing himself, technically a rape, but because he was president and the money part of it was used, right? Ultimately, he had to put in a lot of money. I don't remember, but there was one of the pawn stars or somebody whom he had paid a lot of money, and then signed up a contract that she wouldn't open up her mouth. So that all is seen in the chart. So frankly speaking, when those things were coming up, anybody from the tradition, anybody from who knows even the basics, would say that, hey, this guy is quite a maniac. Yeah. But whether he can become the president, yes, he will become the president. For the first time, when he became the president, I had talked about he will become the president. When it came the second time, I was constantly telling that it's huge advantage Biden, right? So anyways, he was a one-time president, and I hope everything sorts out well. But again, he has created this Ketu and Chandra huge pressure on the homeland security, and it's very sad to see a president, where Twitter and everybody is going to sort of delete your account and all those things. It's sad. You have to maintain your class, I feel. Yeah. Simultaneously, let us look at Narendra Bhai Modi. Okay, he's Tula Lagna. Here again, his seventh lord, Mangal, is in the second house. Seventh lord in the second house is called as Simhasana Yoga. Okay, which is with debilitated moon, and to a large extent it is causing a Neecha Bhanga, for the Chandra, also debilitated Chandra. So Mars to that level as seventh lord is causing the huge sort of a thing. Now let's look at his Dharakaraka. Where is his Dharakaraka? Dharakaraka is Surya in Maranakaraka in the 12th house. So we can say that when it comes to his relationship, he feels like he's in Maranakaraka Sthana. Dharakaraka, when it comes to money matters, or shall we say when it comes to wife or relationship. So when he was married very early, against his wishes, he was not at all happy. What did he do? He ran away he left his home and ran to the Thakur Ramakrishna mission. And he wanted to stay over Ramakrishna mission, and then his guru over there, he told that, hey, what are you talking about, Narendra? You are supposed to go back and work in the society. See, somewhere the great mathas, that the power of meditation is so high that they don't need the Jyotish knowledge, or probably they know the Jyotish knowledge, I'm not sure. But with the power of meditation is so high that they look at somebody and say that, okay, give him a diksha, let him become a monk or a sannyasi. And some of them, they look and they say that, hey, there are a lot of karmas that you need to do, work for the society, you are supposed to do some big things for India. So twice I think he went and he requested that, hey, listen, my mindset is very different. I can't stay in the samsara, and both of the times he was told to go back. Now, whenever the Dharakaraka is there, see, all the Charakarakas are something which is coming to your soul level. That means at a soul level, he is rejecting the Dharakaraka. So at a soul level, it is very tough for somebody to be bribing him. Why? Because his Dharakaraka is in the 12th house. The person says that, hey, money is not something that is going to motivate me. You can't use women also. See, when people are younger, they say that uh, what do you say as honey trapping, right? And lot of big politicians are honey trapped. This is a legitimate way to sort of bring in other people and control them. Now somebody like him with his Dharakaraka and money, so it is very tough to honey trap or money trap him. You understand? His Lagna Lord is Tula. His Lagna Lord is Tula. And that Lagna Lord is going into the 11th house, and we need to understand the dispositor of that house is in Maranakaraka. Okay, so Shukra again is with Shani, so there is a little bit of sorrow associated with it, but any other malefic planets aspecting it, we have a little bit of drishti for Mangal and Chandra, but those are pada drishtis. I'll teach you another time. But there is Jupiter's aspect. Jupiter is retrograde and Jupiter is having a drishti on them. Okay, so here we see that Jupiter has the only one which has the Purna drishti. Okay, and Mangal and others have this other drishtis, which is Tupada drishti, Tripada drishtis, and all those things. But nonetheless, the chart is completely different from what Trump is all about. Here when it comes to his 12th house, there is the major thing is all about Mercury, which is all about learning, which is all about being a student. We are very, very, which is all about his 9th lord also. See, it's all about his guru, it's all about 9th lord in the 12th house. So as a PM, one of his biggest objective will be his 9th house, which is all about either building the temple, be it Ram temple or temples in non-Hindu countries for that matter. One of nobody could have dreamt maybe 10 years, 20 years back that even Abu Dhabi will have a beautiful Akshardham temple which is being built, right? Especially Surya and Ketu is a temple yoga, so this particular thing is there. Then bringing the foreign sort of, what do you say, as your foreign affairs. So those part are something which will be, because especially it is in the 12th house. So his prime objective would be, when it comes to power, to do something about the foreign affairs, to do something about India's image in foreign, and that is what the focus will be. But when it comes to marriage, see, when Shukra is with Saturn, in one way you have to say that person will see a lot of sorrow. Okay, be it with Trump also. Imagine when all those female were very happy, making so much money from Trump, and suddenly when Trump was about to be being made the president, all those girls started talking bad about him. All those females started blackmailing him for more money. You understand? So when things were good, they were making a lot of money. Venus. When things became he became older, they started sort of sleazing money out of him, and the whole experience became very, very sad experience, or it was very sorrowful. So for him, typically it was all about the relationship with the world affairs, but when it came to his own relationship, it was always about Maranakaraka. Hence he was always running away from him. So even if he was married, which he is technically, on paper, the person will always feel like rejecting, like I can't be in that relationship. My objective is much higher. or my country is my family, or that second house sort of a thing. Why? When seventh lord is in the second house of family, that means the person is supposed to have a huge family, because second house is the house of growing, right? Second house is all about that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, your family. So in seventh lord, it's very strong, and Mangal is in its own house, Scorpio. Then technically, that seventh house, or that business partner or that family is constantly growing. And it could be at a national level, it could be at an international level. The same thing where we see in his Navamsha, we have Mangal in Maranakaraka, a Brahmachari, again a Maranakaraka planet in the seventh house. So the seventh lord of the Rashi, when it comes to his Bhagya, luck, is in Maranakaraka. So he's like, running away that, hey, please don't get me married, man. I'm not, I can't maintain, I'm a workaholic, I can't, accept my life, where a woman calls me and says that, what time are you coming home? What should I make for food? This is not my life. I don't know. My objective of life is much bigger. But imagine if he was married, and he was married, immediately he ran away, brahmacharya. Hey, I can't understand this whole bedroom life and all those things. And the seventh house, Maranakaraka. Venus further is in the eighth house. Okay, so this is with Rahu again, and it's crazy. So here we see that there is definitely a problem which is there when it comes to his marriage, relationship, so on and so forth. But look at it now from a political side. His seventh lord is love and war, right? Seventh lord Mangal. Now Mangal doesn't understand love, but Mangal understands war. Oh, that's my domain. Let's go for it. So the seventh lord Mangal is in the second house of growth, and that is a Simhasana Yoga. Seventh lord in the second. It is Super Raj Yoga. And it is coming from whom? It is given by Chandra. People, who are feeling very debilitated. So people before were feeling that, what is our government? Why do we never respond? Why do we never talk? Why are we having such a big army? We never retaliate. We never do such things. Enough of being a good guy. So this guy completely changed it. He said that, hey, listen, if you are going to attack us, I'm going to give it back to you. So every time that war sort of a thing is looming large, the popularity of Narendra Bhai, Chandra, becomes even higher. Be it Balakot, or be it Galwan, or the face of with China, every time that thing happens, people or his rating actually goes even higher. Where the whole of India says that, hey, finally we have a PM who is going to stand up, against those things. And the other people are scared of him. It's Mangal. So as long as this Mangal and Chandra Dashas were there, I always kept saying that, hey, Narendra Bhai is going to win. And he's always going to win by majority. And this was one of my prediction I had given way back in 2012. It was before he was even nominated as a prime ministerial candidate. And I told that time that he will be a 3-time PM. So he has completed 2 terms. He will win the 3rd term as well. So anybody who felt that Modi was going, unfortunately, he is not going. Yeah. So, but when it comes to, so we have to bifurcate both the things. Yeah. So one is, and can he be a simpleton? Surya in the 12th house, they say a person loses his father very early. Did he lose his father early? The answer is yes. Right? And we all know that it is in the 12th house in Maranakaraka. Okay. So those things are very, very important. You can see many other things, you can keep doing it. Analyze the marriage of Lord Ram. Okay. So whichever chart you are okay with, what is his 7th lord? 7th lord is Saturn. Saturn is exalted in the 4th house. Okay. But then there is Mangal in that 7th house also, again a Maranakaraka Mangal. Okay, and which means that, hey, when it comes to marriage, you will feel a little bogged down. You don't know which way to go. That is the impact of a planet being in Maranakaraka. Okay, so that is something which is very, very important. Secondly, the 7th Lord Saturn is exalted. That means that when it comes to your interaction, whether it is for the love or war, you have the highest level of ethics because your Lord is exalted. Which means that one life, one wife. When it comes to war as well, he was very clear that, hey, even if I'm going to fight with Ravana, I'm going to give him enough chances to even withdraw from the war, so I don't have to kill him, because he's a Brahmana at the end of the day. So if I kill him, definitely I will be given a Brahmana Hatya dosha, for which I will have to repent. Right? So those were the high ethics, that even in enmity, there was certain level of class which was maintained. But when it comes to the 4th house, they say that way, hey, when wherever your Saturn is in that area of life, you will sort of feel a little, bogged down, or you will go through the sorrow of your life. So if Saturn is in the 4th house, then he went through the sorrow in his 4th house of home, mother, where his own mother sort of wanted him to leave the home and go for exile for 14 years. Stepmother, so to say. Right? Finally he goes there and somebody else, married, and within the first week of marriage, you are told that instead of going to a honeymoon, you are supposed to go to an exile. It's like, hey, go to your honeymoon in Syria, or you will have your honeymoon in some of the war-torn country, and you will say that, hey, is that a blessing or a curse? So similarly, you can see that 4th house Saturn, and because it is exalted, he had the highest ethics. He took that curse, which technically was the promise of his father. Now in today's time, kids like you and me would say that, hey, listen, father, you gave some promise to some women in your weak moment. I'm not supposed to go and run to a jungle for 14 years. You go with that lady. I'm not concerned. Right? Frankly speaking, that would be a very logical result of if a father is going to tell you that, hey, you are supposed to be appointed a CEO of a company, but I had given a promise to somebody else, and that somebody else wants you to resign and go. The son is surely going to say that, hey, listen, old man, just shut up. I'm the CEO, let me take the call. But no, it was Prabhu Sri Ram. Sri Ram said that, okay, father, why are you feeling bad about it? We are all from that Gotra. Raghukul Reet Sada Chali Ai, Pran Jai par Vachan Na Jai, which means that in the Raghukul, in our lineage, our life can go, but the word or the promise that we have given can never go. And that is the high sort of ethics of Sri Ram. Okay, so this is something which we have to understand, which is very, very important. That, look at the impact on the 7th house. Which are the planets aspecting? Here we have Jupiter and Moon aspecting Mars. Okay, we have Mercury aspecting, giving a Rashi Drishti. Okay, and so technically we can say that, even this planet is in Maranakaraka, this Jupiter and Moon combination, which is called as Gajakeshri Yoga, which means that, something which gives you fame. Yeah, Gajakeshri, frankly speaking, doesn't mean money. It is a myth. It is an absolutely wrong understanding of the sutras, where most of the astrologers consider Gajakeshri associated with wealth. No, it is fame, it is known. A lot of people who are famous but are not rich. You understand? So very important. But what we need to understand, that the same Jupiter Moon is having a drishti on Mangal, which means is because of this Maranakaraka Mangal, you will get fame. which means that because you maintained that ethics, high ethics, people will really remember you. That hey, even in a very very bad situation of life, Prabhu Sri Ram had the highest ethics. There is a common understanding. They say that the type of person you are is something which you are when nobody is watching you. Or at a very spiritual level, they say the type of person you are is what you are at 12 o'clock in midnight. What are the thoughts at midnight that come to you? Are you meditating? Are you having some good thoughts? Or are you watching porn? So if you are watching pornography, then that is you. If you are having a positive thought, then that is you. If you are sleeping well, to ensure you wake up at 4 5 in the morning and do your meditation, do your pujas, do your normal stuff, and then start a fine day, then that is you. Okay, so these things are very important, that where is Jupiter aspecting, where is Jupiter placed, is actually like Saturn shows you the sorrow of your life, Jupiter shows you the opportunities of your life. That's why they say when Jupiter is in Lagna, you have an ability to think positive. You have an ability to think right. You have an ability to think fair. And it has come to you because you prayed to Shiva a lot. And hence Guru is in Lagna. So anybody who prays to Krishna, or who says that, hey, I'm a Vaishnavite, and I can't say Om, or I can't pray to Shiva, hey, how would Prabhu Sri Ram have got Jupiter in Lagna if he was not praying to Sri Ram? Why did Sri Krishna establish Somnath? If he had a problem with Shiva, he wouldn't, right? But the fact of the matter is, he was breaking the myth of so-called project managers of Vaishnava who are going to give you wrong signals. That, hey, there was absolutely no ego issues. There was absolutely no issues between them like a superstar having ego issues. No, they are beyond that. So any Vaishnava says that, hey, I can't pray to Shiva, or any Shaivite says that, hey, I can't pray to Vishnu, is absolutely crazy thought, stupid thought. Because Shiva is constantly praying to Vishnu and Vishnu is constantly praying to Shiva. You look at all the Puranas, you will get enough proof. The Shankaracharyas established Shri Yantras and were praying to Thakurji as well. Because it is very clear that your purity will come through the worship of Vishnu. Hence that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya or any of the Shadakshari or Ashtakshari Narayan Kavach is so important. Maharishi Parashara has told that, hey, the person who is going to do the Dwadashakshari, which is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, in this birth is surely going to get moksha. And this is coming from a Rishi or a Maharishi who is as good as God, as good as a combination of Shiva and Vishnu reincarnate. If he is giving you that guarantee, why would you not believe him? Why can't you do at least one round of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya to ensure that at the end of it we go very close to having moksha, or in an ideal case, keeping fingers crossed, get moksha, right? So it's very important that look at the area where your problem is coming from. Here we were talking only about the 7th house, but the homework for each one of you, and I want you all to write in the comment section, is find out one graha which is having a problem of 2 or 3 malefics. Look at the graha and Rashi Rishi also. Okay, and write in the comment section, and then we are going to analyze this more in the coming weeks. Okay, so what we will do is we will start the Charakarakas. Maybe I will take a small class in a couple of days time and we will finish this off, but it's already a little time. And okay, so thank you so much. Namah Shivaya. Namaste Jyotisha lovers. Thank you so much for viewing the video. Please do share so more and more thirsty souls can benefit from this free knowledge which is being shared. Also do subscribe, click the bell icon, and all the questions that you have, please mention in the comment section below. Thank you so much, and please keep supporting us.